Okay, we're going to look at section 2.3 here, which is some more graphs and ways to represent our data. Okay, so the first one that we're going to look at here is what's called a stem and leaf plot. And so basically what goes on with a stem and leaf plot is it's a way for us to line out a data set as this is processing. And kind of there's two ways. The stem is going to be your main number value. So we have an example here where we've got 14, and then the leaf is going to be that first decimal point. So on something like this, we would have stems of say 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then the leaf would be that single 1 point decimal point that we have. Another way is if the data is larger, we have the set that has 27, 39, we actually let the front part, again, the leaf is only going to be a single digit cases. And so we have this particular set. So now we're going to take a look. We've got this particular data set. It's talking about states and the projected populations. And so looking at our data set, looking to see what our smallest value is. I've got 8.1 in Alaska. And then I'm seeing 16, it looks like, on West Virginia. So what I would have here, and I'm going to set this up. And I'm going to pull this across with our example here, is when we set up a stem and leaf, so I've got the 8, 9, 10, 11, so on and so forth. So if I'm going to work down my list, I'm going to start with Alabama at 14.1. So I only have to write the 1. And then I have Alaska at 8.1. And then I have Arizona at 13.9. We have Arkansas at 14.3. Notice that I just have to put the 3 down for that. 10.5. Then we have 10.7, 14.4, 14.1. 11.5, 17, oh, I didn't see that 17 there, 17.8, 10.2, 14.3, 12.0. Okay, so we would have, this would be the start of our stem and leaf. Now, stem and leaves may or may not be ordered. So for example, this is an unordered because I have 1, 4, 3, 1, 3. Other times you will see that they have organized the data to go from least to as they process through. Also, there generally tends to be a key where they show this 8 and then the bar line 1 is equivalent to the value 8.1, so that you know how to read these particular values. Now, the next type, and this is one, this is still in the stem and leaf. Occasionally they will use what's called a back-to-back stem and leaf. I don't see these as often, but it is a way for us to compare two sets of data that have the same structure, the same. So here we're talking about tests or averages from an English class and a history class. And so we would have the 45, a 57, a 62, a 66, a 68, and a 69. I think the reason this can be somewhat challenging to read is because this is 59, 61, and 67. So you are having to kind of read in reverse as you come back into this history category. But you are able to compare, and we can see that the English classes, they start a little lower and go not quite as your classes start a little higher and move into a higher grade here of having, but you are able to compare and can say that averages in the history class tend to or look and appear to be higher than averages in an English class. Now, the next type is what we call a dot plot. And mathematicians are not creative namers. We either name it after the old dead guy who came up with it, hint somebody's mama named them Pythagoras, I'm just saying, or we name it after what we see. So a dot plot is another way for us, kind of like a histogram, but we're able to see trending patterns, okay? So what happens here is we create a number line across the bottom, and then every time a data point shows up, we put a dot or an X or some other type of an indicator. And so we have, this is the number of children had by each of the presidents of the US. So we've got, the first number is 0, so we put a dot. And then we have a dot at 2 and a dot at 10. I'm working across that top row. I have another dot at 2, I have a dot at 5, a dot at 4, so on and so forth. And so what we're able to see here is trending patterns where we see kind of a large jump here. We can see 2 has the most in it, and then we have kind of a rocking down. We have very few out here in the back end, but notice we do still allow the number line to carry that far out. Now, one of the things that we can see with dot plots, okay, we notice here again, the dot plots give a good indication of where values are constant. 2 is the highest. There were only 4 presidents that had 6, or excuse me, that actually, there are only 4 presidents who had more than 6 children. So we've got the one here at 7, 8, 10, and 15 for that one. So we can certainly start to see patterns. This could also be done in a histogram. It's just a little more straightforward, where you're not having to go through and do classes as we're processing through that. Now, the next type that we have is what's called a time plot. And on a time series plot, you're going to have your time reference across the bottom, and the vertical axis is going to be the stuff. Guys, the most classic time series plot that I can give you is the stock market. If you're ever going to watch a stock market, that is classic time series. Whether it's you're watching a stock within a day and that out there tracking the hour count across the bottom, you're tracking it for a month and you've got the day count across the bottom, you're tracking it for a year and you've got different day counts or month counts across the bottom. Weekly counts, those are time series plots when we have that happen. So here we have the closing value of the Dow Jones. This one they're doing years. So we've got the end of each year. So they're looking at kind of the last day of business. So right there around December 31st, it may be, a few days earlier than that. And so we've got, here's our table. Up the side, they've done the money things. So we've got that 10,453.92. And then we've got 10,701. We continue to see it rock up. Here's where we see this dip down to the 8,000. And then we start to see that upward climb again as we go. Same thing in the data. Again, we're able to watch things process and move forward through over a span of time as this is happening. So these are a couple more visual ways to do our graphing stuff and give our information.